is Tiki ASMR. Tiki 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 tiki. And it is good to see you again. It is very good to see you again. Today I just wanted to do some leather basketball tapping. And I have a couple other items. So we have this little basketball player figurine for Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic. But Nikola Jokic, I have this little figurine that we can scratch on and tap on. I also have just the brim of the hat. And then I also have this little Rocky mascot stuffed animal doll thing. But it has a nice crinkly tag. And he actually has some kind of like hacky sack beans. If you can hear that, but makes kind of good fabric shaking sounds too. But so I just have the two items, and then the third item with the basketball that I always think sounds pretty good. And if you couldn't tell already, this is gonna be basketball themed. And I'll just do a little bit of rambling about the NBA season that starts this week. Maybe mention some teams or storylines that I'm excited for. And then just do some tapping and scratching and some other sounds, but I know not everyone in here will be NBA fans or basketball fans at all, but as ASMR fans, I hope you can at least enjoy the tingly sounds, like the leather tapping and the gripping sounds. So, as you can probably tell, I am a Denver Nuggets fan. So this last half decade has been pretty fun for me as a basketball fan and an NBA fan, because the Denver Nuggets have been in the NBA title contention race for about the last 5 or 6 years, so some years more than others, and especially in the last 3 to 4 years, I'd say they've been like really in the mix. And of course they won the NBA championship just a couple years ago, so and I wouldn't say that Nikola Jokic is most exciting player in the league, but I think he's a lot of fun and exciting in a different, non-traditional way. You can see he kind of has those dark, soulless eyes, at least on the figurine when he's looking at you. But I would say that my favorite player in the NBA is probably still Christian Brown, whose jersey I'm actually wearing. But Christian Brown went to my alma mater, the University of Kansas Jayhawks, and played basketball there. And won a national championship, and then went on to the Nuggets and won a NBA championship his first year, his rookie season in the NBA. So he's just made my life very, very happy in a couple different ways the last 3 to 4 years. So I don't know if that makes good sounds. That squeaks a little bit. Some people might like it, some people might not like it, but his head swivels, you'll see that. Does that make good sounds, or does that make squeaky bad sounds? I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards not so great sounds, but if you really like it, let me know and I can always bring that back. But and then this mascot right here. This is the Denver Nuggets mascot, and he's a pretty popular mascot just in general, but this is Rocky. Rocky. And he is a mountain lion. And he looks really excited when you shake him. Looks really excited, but so that is like the Nuggets' best player, and then their mascot. So a little bit of a history lesson or just background information if you aren't familiar with the Denver Nuggets. And he's got those beans or those beads kind of on his backside, but don't worry, I got permission from Rocky. He said you can squeeze the beans in my butt for ASMR purposes. I think that sounds pretty good. But to talk about some other teams that I'm excited for to see how they do. One of my best friends and I just drafted for our fantasy team that we run together. And we had the 8th overall pick, which I didn't love because that's kind of where you miss like the superstars, but it's early enough where there's lots of people in that range. But in our specific fantasy draft, Giannis Antetokounmpo fell to us. So people above us selected other players, and he ended up falling to the 8th games. He's really good, really entertaining, and I've always just liked him as a person too. So we will be cheering for the Greek Freak. Greek Freak. So if anyone here is from Greece and you're a Giannis fan or a Milwaukee Bucks fan, comment down below, let me know. Love Rocky. Hey Rocky, you can sit on the basketball while we do some tapping. And then my friend, he is a Los Angeles Clippers fan. So in our draft, we also have Jamal Murray from the Nuggets and Kawhi Leonard from the Clippers on our fantasy team. So, I think our first 5 rounds, like in order our picks, we had Giannis Antetokounmpo with our first round pick. And then for the Cleveland Cavaliers, with our second round pick, we selected Evan Mobley, who was a really fun player at USC, and he's done really well in the NBA too, so his skill set's transitioned pretty well. And then we took Jamal Murray in the third, and Kawhi Leonard in the fourth. And then we took Walker Kessler in the 5th round, who is on the Utah Jazz, where I live in Utah, so I'll probably go watch some games, but we drafted him as well as Isaiah Collier for the Jazz a little bit later on, so a couple Jazz players that I'll get to cheer for as I watch games live this year. And then some just NBA teams that I'm excited to watch. So on top of like the Nuggets, Clippers, Bucks, Cavs that I'll want to watch because they're fun teams and because of fantasy basketball, I'm also excited to see the Atlanta Hawks this year. The Atlanta Hawks. And I'm excited for the Hawks because I think they'll be pretty good this year. They had a pretty fun off-season, both in the draft as well as through free agency, where they picked up some good players. So they had that one Eastern Conference Finals run years ago. That was the season where the 76ers kind of like choked and couldn't get to the next round. The Ben Simmons wouldn't shoot the layup game. But they've been a middle of the pack or a struggling team the most recent years, so I'm excited to see if they're going to be good in the East. I think they'll probably be like probably a top 3 team in the East, in my opinion. I think Cleveland's pretty good. I think New York's pretty good. And then Atlanta's kind of in that mix for the 3rd best team between like Atlanta and Orlando is actually kind of on the up and up. They had the off-season trade for Desmond Bane, so that'll be pretty fun to see too. And then I think the Milwaukee Bucks, so it's kind of like the Hawks, the Bucks, and the Orlando Magic for that third seed in the East, which is definitely the weaker of the two conferences. Other teams, I think other people are a lot higher on the Detroit Pistons than I am. Relax. I think a lot of people are higher on the Detroit Pistons than I am. Because they had a pretty good year last year, but their team looks a little bit different this year, and I think they'll kind of have a step back this year, so we'll see how they do. The Indiana Pacers, I think, will take a step back as well because of the Tyrese Halliburton injury. The Miami Heat are dealing with some injuries. The Boston Celtics are dealing with some injuries. So there's a lot of teams that have been in the mix before, like Philadelphia as well, the 76ers. On paper, they're going to be really good, but they have so many injury issues. So the Eastern Conference is definitely the weaker of the two. Let me see other teams that I think could be fun. I am excited to see the Dallas Mavericks, where even though Kyrie Irving is injured right now, I think anytime you have the number one overall pick with Cooper Flag, I think that's pretty exciting, and they have a really big team. They have a really big team where they can do some interesting five-man lineups with like Cooper Flag as point forward and just go like ultra big. So I think Dallas will be pretty fun. And then the San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, Victor Wembanyama. I'm also excited to watch him. He was on our fantasy team last year, so I watched a lot of his games, and I want to go see him live at least once this year, just because he's like insane to see in person, I imagine. He's like 7'6", incredibly long arms, super athletic, just one of the like most physically imposing players I've ever seen in my life. So, and I think their team overall should be a lot better than the last 2 years. So I'm excited for San Antonio too. And then the third team, also in Texas, funny enough, the Houston Rockets. I think that'll be interesting with Kevin Durant over in Houston now. They had the injury in preseason, or even slightly before then, to Fred VanVleet, their point guard. But Houston is another team that should be in the same or similar tier as Denver. So I'm going to monitor them because Denver and Houston will be fighting for seeding purposes. And then, of course, you have your more popular teams like the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors and the New York Knicks. Big market teams that a lot more people cheer for, that I think will be fun. I know LeBron is dealing with a pretty bad injury right now. Will probably miss like 3 to 4 weeks of the season to start. The Warriors are pretty old, so we'll see how they hold up. And then the Knicks will have Mike Brown, I believe, as their coach now. Mike Brown, I think it's Mike Brown now. But they have a lot of good players and should be in the mix, so. Oklahoma City Thunder, that of course won last year, is probably the consensus to win again. They have a really good team, lots of depth, lots of depth, lots of depth, lots of depth on their depth chart. Lots of really good players, so they'll be a problem again. And my guess is they probably win like 60 to 62 games if I had to predict it, if not more, because they're young too. They have a lot of really good young players, so. But that is kind of just a quick preview of what I'm excited about for the NBA season. I know I didn't mention all the teams, so if you're a fan of someone that I didn't mention, let me know down below. Let me know down below what teams you cheer for, or if there's a specific player that's your favorite. Let me know. I'd love to talk about some NBA with you. So. Anyways, alright. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go now. So, say goodbye to Nikola Jokic. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Say goodbye to Rocky. And I will see you again very, very soon with another video.